Welcome back everyone, we're going to be solving LeetCode 206, reverse linked list. So given the head of a singly linked list, we want to reverse the list and return the reversed list. So if we take a look at our examples, we're given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, should be now 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So how can we do this? We need a pointer, we'll name it current to denote the current node we are at, and that will be set to our head. We're also going to need a previous pointer set to none, because going through this list, right, 1 will be, our original list is 1 points to 2, and in the output list 2 needs to be pointing to 1, but 1 will now be pointing to null, because at the end of a linked list your last node is always pointing to null. So when we reverse these, 1 will now be pointing to null, 2 to 1, 3 to 2, so on and so forth. So that's why we have to have a previous pointer set to none here. Okay, so now we want to simply just loop through our list. So we'll say while our current node is not none, what do we want to do? We have to take, we're going to have to take the current nodes.next pointer and save it to a variable. We'll call that temp, and we will say current temp will equal current.next. Now, the next thing we have to do is set, so if we're at 1, we need to set current.next, this arrow has to be saved to a temp variable. Now we need to change this arrow, it needs to, instead of being pointing to 2, it needs to point to none, and this is where this previous comes in. So now we have to set current.next equal to previous. After that, we can set our previous pointer, which is currently pointing to none, that can now be set to our current node. So we'll say previous now equals current. Now our current node is still pointing at 1, but we need it to be pointing at 2 now, and this is why we saved it in the temporary variable. So now we can say current is now pointing to temp. And then at the end, we're not going to return current or head, right? Because we reversed the list. So now our previous pointer should be pointing at 5, which is the new head, and then all of our .next pointers should be pointing to their correct nodes. So we will be returning previous, and we'll get rid of some spaces, and this should run. So we'll run this, and it does pass all 3 test cases. We'll submit, and it does pass. Perfect. So what is the space complexity? The space complexity is going to be O of 1, right? We're not using any extra data structures, just looping through our original list and reversing the pointers. And with that said, the time complexity is going to be O of n, right? We're doing a single pass and just reversing some pointers. So that'll do it for LeetCode 206.